Thank you. Andrew Chernoff joining us now. His reaction, Andrew, pouring in really from all over the country tonight about Knight's passing.
If you're on Twitter tonight, Facebook, whatever social media, people are talking about Bob Knight, sharing stories, talking about his legacy. It's all over the place, and clearly a huge impact. Controversial at times, of course, but still a huge impact he had in this game. At times, we know Bob Knight was a controversial figure. He was best known for his will to win and his legendary temper. Tonight, his former players mourn the loss of their head coach. Bob Knight made an impact on so many during his career, and that can be seen all over the place, with tributes flowing in since the announcement of his passing on Wednesday night.
Truly a big-time loss, especially for all the IU faithful and those who are truly, true basketball fans.
Hoosier legend Calbert Cheaney, who is now on the basketball staff at IU, played for Knight from 1989 through 1993. He says Knight will always be remembered as one of the best basketball minds in the history of the game.
Winner, winner, big-time winner. He's done everything. He's won, numerous Big Ten titles, 3 national championships, Olympic gold medal. He's pretty much done everything there is to do in basketball. And when you've done that, he's truly a legend, and he will always be a legend in Bloomington, Indiana.
Cheaney is just one of many former players who are remembering their coach. So is current IU head coach Mike Woodson, who played at IU from 1976 through 1980. He released a statement that read, in part, "He influenced my life in ways I could never repay. As he did with all of his players, he always challenged me to get the most out of myself as a player and, more importantly, as a person." Woodson was there along with other former players when Knight made his return to Assembly Hall in February 2020, a special moment for all in attendance as they got to see Knight return to the place he was fired.
I think it was huge. He's always been loved, and obviously he's had his controversial moments, and that's his coach. He's always worn his heart on his sleeve, and how he is, and how competitive he is, and how he operates. But for him to come back and to Bloomington that particular night and get the reception that he received. It was truly amazing, and like I said, his legacy is always going to be his legacy is Indiana is Bobby Knight.
Now, Calbert Cheaney also told me that they're going to be playing for him this year just as a team because of how much he meant to this program.
Yeah. And gentlemen, it's been, amazing to see just the profound impact he's had on his players and the fans really across the entire state, across the entire country. He also, AC, had a contentious relationship with the media, right?
Yeah, I had many years of covering him as he was the head coach of the IU basketball team. And I'll tell you a good story. Indiana, I was covering the team. Indiana was trailing big time at halftime to Wisconsin, and the Badgers were just making shots after shots down there at Assembly Hall. And after the game, Indiana actually ended up winning the game. So in the press conference, one thing about Coach Knight, he always challenged you as a reporter. So you couldn't come in asking simple questions. You better think outside the box, right?
Sure.
And so Indiana down big time at halftime, and they get the win. And so I was prepared to ask him a question. And the question I asked Coach, I said, Coach Knight, I said, what was it that Wisconsin was doing that caused you guys to be down so bad at halftime? What were they doing?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like he's going to talk about the defense was great, whatever. He goes, they made shots. Right. What do you expect? They made shots. And so, of course, it was all on national TV. A local reporter asked Coach Knight, and he kind of went off. But, that relationship with him and the media, I can tell you one thing. Whenever he was at the podium, people were listening in. And imagine social media back then, if he would have been there coaching that, we have social media like we have it today, with him at the podium talking to the media after the game's up, man, it would be trending throughout the night because he was always entertaining when it comes to dealing with the media at the post-game press conferences.
It's almost like he pushed his players is the way that he pushed the media to kind of be a little bit better at their job.
At times he did that, indeed, yeah.
Andrew, I know you're a native Hoosier, so what growing up here, lasting impression, lasting memory of Bob Knight?
When you think of Bob Knight, you think of Indiana basketball, and it's not just Indiana basketball, it's the whole state. That's how much he means to it. So growing up in Indiana, one name comes to mind, right? Bob Knight. Obviously, even if you're a Purdue fan, Gene Katie comes to name, but Bob Knight always is in that conversation, even as Purdue fans, just because of the legacy he had, 3 national championships. Bob Knight's impact goes beyond, and I think AC's piece said it best. The graduation rate and then that loyalty from his former players speaks volumes about what he was like as a coach, pushing his guys to get everything that they can out of them on the floor. And that translates to good basketball players today, too.
Sure.
Graduation rate's important. Work as hard as you can on the floor. And it's those lessons that Bob Knight had that he pushed on his players that still make a huge impact on these good players today.
And AC, you also grew up here in Indiana as well.
Yeah.
The impact that he's had on the fan base.
I mean, every time we have a story down in Bloomington or I'm in Assembly Hall, I always think of Bob Knight. Mm-hmm. And you can look up and you see those banners there. And he's responsible for 3 of those banners. And you always think of just Bob Knight. I've been a kid growing up in Indiana. I mean, just what he did with that program, and just the fact that, just looking at the statistics and just the legendary career he had, it was just instant that, he was guaranteed, automatic, you're going to the NCAA tournament every year. And I love the fact that the respect that he had from other coaches around the country. I mean, X and O guy. Yep. I mean, he could coach against the best of them, and he proved it time and time again. Postseason play, the coach of the year, he won time and time again in the Big Ten. Over 10 plus Big Ten regular season titles that he captured as the head coach there with the Hoosiers. There's no doubt he will be missed. And just talking to former players, I know Andrew spent some time with Calbert Cheney tonight. You talk to the players, yes, they had their moments with Coach Knight at times, as far as in practice, like a coach, challenge them on the basketball court. But anyone you talk to, former players, they say whenever they leave the program and start their lives and they start their careers, if they need help, they call on this man, and he was there for them.
Instant respect.
Yeah.